Hey everybody, welcome back to You Are Free TV. It is Tuesday, November 26th, 2024, 2 days away from Thanksgiving, and we are so grateful. And I will jump in with all the news and prayers for Thanksgiving and what's going on. But I will start first with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence, hatred, or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. And so I always start by saying, thank you so much for supporting the channel. You make it happen, and I am so, so grateful. It's one of the things I am so grateful here right before Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday here at You Are Free TV. I love Thanksgiving, really because of the gratitude involved and the appreciation of everything we have. And of course, the beginning of the founding of the country, a lot of squirrely stuff that went on to do with how it all really went down there on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, right, and in Plymouth. But that's maybe Friday. I'll talk about that. I'll be back on Friday. I'll be back tomorrow as well, but we might save that for then. But really, it's about gratitude. We have so much to be grateful for. And the one thing I want to start out by saying, and this was reminded to me by a junior pastor who had done the church service on Sunday, where I go this week. And what he had to say was that he is an immigrant from Nigeria who was able to come to this country, and every day of his life he would pray that he would be able to come and that he would get through his visa process, etc. It was miraculous how it actually happened. And basically reminding us here in America how lucky we are to be born in this country or to live in this country, come here legally and become citizens, and what it means to live in the United States of America, and what a giant, massive blessing it is for us all. And I think that's the number one incredible thing to be grateful for as we're on this cusp to defeat Cartel Babylon, not just for this country, but for the world. And we're at the beginning of the fight here, having turned really across a Rubicon. And the election of Trump, and if we can get through this next time, it's going to be hairy days. Okay, I think even the Thanksgiving holidays and moving into the holiday period is especially dangerous for what could interrupt things. Okay, and we'll be getting into that in this video. But I think it's so important for us to feel blessed, And I'll just remind people, I know Thanksgiving can be lonely too. November is a hard month for a lot of people. And so I want to suggest, an attitude of gratitude that for people who are alone on Thanksgiving and don't have people to celebrate with, to volunteer, to go out and be part of, and to volunteer in your community is a great way to be less lonely and to get out amongst people and to invite interaction into your life. And so I will jump in with the news here, and we will carry on. But I really I feel so blessed about the election of Trump and what we have going forward. The cabinet, all of it. I know people are hair on fire about certain picks, like the Surgeon General. I think we can have faith and gratitude, and we can also have prayer about what's guiding Trump to make these picks. I am not worried. So I'll just say that I am not worried. And I believe that we have the fight in front of us that is partially our responsibility, okay, for getting the confirmations of really it's RFK Jr. When it comes to the worries we have with anything to do with anything that's under the auspices of HHS. So we'll jump into all of that. I'll put on the glasses and we'll move forward here into the news. So thanks for being with me here on the channel. And I think what I want to start off first, as we saw Tom Holman go to Texas, meet with Abbott today, and Toho, or Tom Holman, basically the Hulk of the deportation program that's coming, meeting with Abbott in Texas, doing a great job in his press conference, basically just saying we're going to, if people resist this, in these so-called sanctuary states, we're going to have what we need to get them out of the way, and it's not going to be a problem. And I think that's true and real. And so we're going to talk about that. And of course, Abbott has said we can have 1,500 acres down in McAllen, Texas, and to have basically a place to round up the criminals who will be deported. We saw another rape today. The rapes, the murders, all of it from these criminals. People don't feel safe. Women don't feel safe going and hiking and running and jogging in the places they used to always. All the nature preserves, all the places we love to go for our sanctuary and for our peace of mind and for our exercise are being they're being women are being hunted down by these migrant criminals. And so great to see Tom Holman ready to go, full bore, and I trust him, and I know that he'll get the resources he needs to see what's going to happen there. And while I'm not a giant fan of Governor Abbott, I am a fan of what can happen with under Trump and under DHS. And so we're going to have faith and trust in the Kristi Noem process, and of course Mayorkas, no oath, guilty of so many crimes. We're going to get into that immediately here, actually, because I want to talk about Michelle Obama's good friend, Krishanti Omara Vignaraja, who has been in charge of what used to be the Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services. So I've talked a lot on this channel about HIAS, the Hebrew Immigration Aid Society that Mayorkas used to be on the board of. Then they started the HIAS Foundation to bring tons and tons of more money into this organization. And his trafficking as the head of DHS, his culpability in the invasion of the United States, and also, of course, the missing children. But then it comes out that Michelle Obama, and it gets into Hillary Clinton and the whole nine yards, where we had and I've talked about this before, the Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services, as well as the Catholic Charities, with HIAS as kind of the three major programs in the United States that are trafficking, especially the children. And what has come out is we have she calls herself Krish, but it's Krishanti Omara Vignaraja, who basically in 2019 became the CEO of what transformed Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services into what is called Global Refuge. Global Refuge. And Global Refuge is only one of two UN and USAID and State Department sanctioned organizations that can traffic children, unaccompanied minors, into the United States. So hugely to do with the 325,000 missing children. I don't know if you saw the videos. I'll try to link them below. In the last 3 days, that at the border they were interviewing children as young as 2 years old. All these children coming in with no adult supervision. 2 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old, 8 years old. All these children saying that they're coming here. They don't know where they're going, or they're saying, "Oh, I'm going to Florida." Insane, crazy town stuff. Okay, of the trafficking of children. The U.S. government and things like Global Refuge are the biggest child slave trafficking organization in the history of the world. This is the, as I've said so many times in my videos, this is the economy of sin of Cartel Babylon. This is the way that they like to make money, tons and tons and tons of money. And that's what you have with Krish, Omara Vignaraja, who has boosted her income from something like 240,000 to now like 520,000 a year that she gets as CEO of Global Refuge, which used to be the Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services. And I'll just say from my past, I've talked a lot on this channel where way in my past, I was really awakened by having the privilege to meet a lot of ritual abuse survivors, and so many of them came out of the Lutheran families, very much connected, usually with Masonic circles, and this ritual abuse scenario, usually involving trafficking in child pornography, the whole 9 yards. The ritual abuse is horrific. You can't even imagine with the programming of the children. It's all up in that MK Ultra monarch stuff. But this situation of what they're doing now in the mass trafficking of children into sexual slavery and etc., for just disappearing them, is huge. And what Tom Holman has said is that he's going after trying to find the children. So we have big prayers on Thanksgiving for Tom Holman, his mission. And so again, Global Refuge, out of the Office of Refugee Resettlement, okay, only two, there's 9 organizations in there, and only 2 get to deal with the trafficking and laundering of children, unaccompanied minors. Okay, this is Global Refuge. And this woman, Krish Omara Vijnaraja, was Michelle Obama's like number 2 person when she was in the White House. And so let's get into that, because it's so disturbing. So what we have with her is she was in the Biden White House. She was the policy director to Michelle Obama. She was Michelle Obama's policy director. Okay, she ran then in 2018. Okay, she ran for governor of Maryland, lost, came in like 4th, but but she's one of Michelle Obama's good pals. I don't know if she's an AKA member. She did graduate with Phi Beta Kappa out of Yale. All right, and she in the Biden White House, she also worked underneath Hillary Clinton State Department as a senior advisor, and also stayed with John Kerry as Secretary of State, and worked with USAID, HHS, and the DOD. She was in charge of Michelle Obama's Let Girls Learn initiative, right, especially in the Middle East and Africa. And we saw all the horrors that went on in Africa, to do with these raids, to do with hundreds of girls kidnapped. And then you had this Let Girls Learn initiative come in, and there was lots and lots of scandals around that. And I've done it in the past. I can't do it in this video. Maybe I can revisit it, and maybe I can link one of my old videos below about it. But this is Krishanti Omara Vijnaraja. And so she was a Marshall Scholar at Oxford. Okay, so she got the Oxford thing and the Magdalen College. And to me, that very much sounds like a Pilgrim Society member, as well as the sorority connection. And so we have to look into, it looks like there's connections here, possibly with the Barack Obama Foundation, the Obama Foundation, and the Clinton Global Initiative, all to do with this trafficking, with Global Refuge. Global Refuge. Okay, so we'll keep looking into it. We'll see what we can do. She, as one of her first acts when she became CEO of Global Refuge, was to attack Trump's Executive Order 13888, where he was giving states and counties the option to get out of refugee resettlements in their states and areas, to fight that. So that, again, what do we have now? The complete, all of these, especially red areas where they dump all these refugees and steal the resources, and you get all these implanted operatives, okay, that are just really, really hurting those areas. And so her husband is Colin O'Mara. And the funny thing about him, getting with the whole World Economic Forum agenda and the whole, let's get the people off the land agenda, he is CEO of the National Wildlife Federation. CEO of the National Wildlife Federation. Yeah, that's what's going on there. And their wedding was officiated by Senator Chris Coons. Okay, Chris Coons, Biden's like alter ego, his big, Ukraine boy. Yeah, so that is just crazy. And so that's that. And I wanted to just say, as I've said in my last video, I believe HIAS and Global Refuge and all of these organizations who have trafficked in children absolutely should have their assets seized per the executive order by Trump in 2017, where seize the assets of anybody involving in international human trafficking and also money laundering, international money laundering. This falls under both of those things, right? And we're looking at DOGE going after the UN for these types of things, especially to do with the refugee resettlement program out of the UN. I believe their assets should be seized, and I believe that the children should be partially get some of that money, and the children should be allowed to do whatever they want to do in their resettlement process. So that's my take on that, and I wanted to let you know because we have Joni Ernst. She's a bit of a war hawk. Israel, the whole Israel thing. Right now, we've got this Biden, pushing the war with Israel, with Lebanon and Hezbollah and all this, down the road with the supposed ceasefire that is happening, which is, I think, kind of comical at this point. But I want to talk about Joni Ernst for a second, even though she's hawkish. Like I said, the Israel thing is something we're going to have to fight down the road because the Israel component in Trump's world is massive, and we have to kind of back burner that a tiny bit right now because everything we need to face right now, because we have the possibility during the holidays of Trump assassination attempts, war, um, uh, continuity of government, COG issues, all of this stuff. It's like get us to the inauguration, okay, and then we keep fighting. But Joni Ernst, along with MTG, that are getting into the DOGE Department of Government Efficiency, subcommittees. She has identified at least $688 billion. So on the close to two-thirds of a trillion over two-thirds of $1 trillion in government waste already. She said every federal agency has at least 10% total waste. And so what we need is what she's identified is that the Pentagon, excuse me, that the UN is massive in this, and that relates to what I just said. The UN is paid more by the US than any other country still. And of course, we had Thomas Massie create the Defund Act, right? The Defund Act, which is to defund the UN, and it's still sitting around. And so, a great thing to do for the holidays, right? If we want to save the children and we want to get the US out of the WHO, is to call Joni Ernst, okay, 202-225-3121, 202-225-3121, or Bill Blaster App it, billblasterapp.org, and go to Joni Ernst extension, and you want to say, hey, then if you want to really, do your thing with DOGE, go ahead and defund the UN. We want to pass the Defund Act, okay? Because that will, we want out of the UN, out of the UN. Not a dollar is too much. A dollar is too much. I'd say the same with NATO, because we had that meeting with Trump and Root, the director general of NATO, Secretary General, at Mar-a-Lago, and it seemed to only up the ante of what they've now done since that meeting. So it looks like Trump is being a little bit held hostage here with threats to do with Ukraine and the laundering, the money, all of it out of Ukraine. And so we'll get into that in a second, but I think it's really important. So what Joni Ernst also had to say in her looking into finding two-thirds of a trillion over dollars wasted is the Pentagon wasting 125 billion easily just on bureaucracy waste. That it's just it just goes out the window, and we know it's FASB 6. I think Castronoth Fitz. She always talks about there's two sets of books, right? There's two sets of Pentagon books where the money's going, and part of it there's two different sets, okay, of the money. And so if DOGE wants to really do something, they find those black books of where all the stolen money is really going, that second set of books, FASB 6. And that was made into law, even under Trump, that passed through. So Trump is now on board, and I think Musk being at the center of this is not a coinkydink. It has to do with where we get into the secret space program, we get into the breakaway civilization funding, and what they're planning to do to confront that, to deal with it. And I think they're actually already dealing with it. And I think part of the reins of what's being kind of held against Trump here with this threat of nuclear war, using, Putin, using the Russia scenario, is to clamp down on Trump's and RFK Jr. and Musk, their revelation of what is actually all of the secret technology and all of it, because Trump has loaded his cabinet with these people. Well, he's Ratcliffe, okay, really into disclosure when it comes to the secret technologies that the CIA is involved in. Of course, Elon Musk, and of course, Marco Rubio, who's super into that as well, and wanting there to be a UN defense initiative, excuse me, not UN, UFO defense commission to be set forward. So I believe that there is all of this going on and that we have to really look at it. And so, should I jump into that, or should I just say a couple more news tips, news items here real quick first? I think I'll do a couple, you know how I do. I always kind of just get into some news stuff here, where we had, of course, Trump's statement today where he basically said he's going to charge Mexico and Canada 25% tariffs on all of their goods sent to the U.S. until they stop the migrant trafficking and the fentanyl and other drug trafficking through their borders into the United States, and that this is going to happen immediately. And very interesting that the Democrats come out and say, "Oh, this is going to mean that you're taxing our goods." And it's very interesting. And they said that the taxing on goods will, increase the cost of living. And it's just very funny that they admit that taxes, hiring, getting higher taxes increases the cost of living when they normally won't admit that at all. But that's not true. Okay, that is, the ridiculous socialist lie. The reality is saying, no, 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 you're going to have to stop the invasion of our country with drugs and the Dominion of Canada, okay, by the Pilgrim Society, purposely flooding our country with invasion migrants and drugs, and the same with the cartel country of Mexico, flooding our country from the south with the same, is going to stop, and 25% tariff on that, and that China will also get a 10% tariff above all the additional tariffs that are going to be put on China because of the fentanyl issue. Trump says Xi had promised that they would stop the fentanyl, didn't do it. So an extra 10% on top of all the other tariffs that are coming. And of course, people are worried about Scott Bessent as U.S. Treasurer. I'm not. I'm not worried about his former working with Soros. I know people hair on fire about it. No, I believe so many people have flipped and changed their tune, that where it used to be all about money or prestige or whatever for these people, they have come to a God moment, that they've really understood the value of why America is so important and why it's important to be preserving the republic and making America great again. And I believe Bessent will be great on how we do the tariffs and how it makes the economy, the treasury move forward, as well as being a bulldog to do with the everything to do with the World Bank, everything to do with the World Trade Organization. We'll be getting into that. That Bessent will do the job, right? And you don't hear the gays being like, "Oh, Scott Bessent, he's gay. Woo, we should be so excited. First time ever as a U.S. Treasury Secretary." You don't hear any of that. So, okay. So I want to move on from there to, I think I want to move into, oh, there's so many things, but I think I'm going to just get into, what I feel might be the threats coming up. I feel Trump should immediately do a press conference before Thanksgiving. he is in the position now where he, as president-elect, has absolute authority to do so, to talk about the threat to the world with this nuclear war issue. So after Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of the UN, met with him at Mar-a-Lago, things have only ramped up. The announcement that the Biden administration, that we're really talking about Blinken and Newland, because if you remember the executive order of Biden back several months ago, back in the summer, where he said that everything to do with all the money and the aid going to Ukraine, he has the executive order that he gave that it will be Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State, and Victoria Nuland, who resigned from her position but is this special envoy to Ukraine, still, or hanging out in Ukraine. They will be in charge of the money, right? And MTG with DOGE has come out and saying we want to impound the money right away. Um, Big fight there, but this situation is that these people are escalating war. It literally is treason. It literally is against the War Powers Act. Congress has not passed any war resolution to do with Russia, and they are going and saying that they could return to Ukraine the nukes that they took after the breakup of the USSR, right? Right before the rape of Russia, where George H.W. Bush and the rest of them stole everything and created the oligarchs, and hence why we have the situation we have now, including the coup that happened in 2014 in Ukraine. But the situation here where they have, France now is saying, Macron saying, oh yeah, we'll send troops to Ukraine. UK saying we'll send troops to Ukraine. The Biden administration saying, these nukes could go back to Ukraine, and of course everybody out of Russia saying that's absolutely World War III. Well, they already said that's World War III if you send missile capacity into Ukraine that hits Russia. That's already World War III. Well, they did it again today and yesterday. Huge amounts of missiles sent into Russia and the Kursk region, and they keep upping the ante. And Putin keeps having massive patience, incredible desire not to commit massive assaults on the United States, but especially also NATO installations. And it feels like Trump is being a little bit held captive here, or bribed, or that there is a situation where there is NATO basically, I think, this is my guesstimation, that NATO is saying to Trump that if you are going to come out with any of the revelations to do with the secret space program, to do with the fact that we actually have very clean nukes, okay, that won't cause any kind of um, real fallout. If you destroy this narrative, we're just going to false flag it. We're just going to false flag it, meaning, during the holiday period between now and then, they could set up a situation to have a continuity of government takeover. And there's been many other things besides, Germany setting up their war scenario. They're giving to their people the locations of all the supposed nuclear bunkers. There's this massive rollout of World War III scenario, and this is all after Rutte meets with Trump. And so something's going on, and I believe that Trump should come out and say something to the American people, because as we sit here through the holidays, we're all wondering what's going on, right? We have the Russian government having so much more disclosure than our own government, with even Medvedev, the foreign minister. He said, we can do things like we can aim asteroids. We have the technology with satellites to basically, aim asteroids to avoid or cause a collision. We have all of this weaponry that the US has as well, but in our country, It's all completely under wraps as this breakaway civilization to do with Cartel Babylon, Pilgrim Society, and the City of London and Lockheed Martin massively, especially with Antarctica, that they have all of this weaponry that they can do too, but it's not for the benefit of the United States, whereas for Russia, it is for the benefit of Russia. And with Trump and Musk and people like Ratcliffe and, interestingly enough, Marco Rubio and others, there is a scenario where they have they have intelligence. They know, okay, about the history and what's going on here with the development of non-dirty nukes. Okay, the development of weapons way beyond that scale, whether it is, uh, X-ray laser weapons, whether it is the ability to use EMF weapons that will just obliterate everything, right? But keep all the structures standing, but cause massive, massive harm to the humans. All of this is available, and I believe that there is this threat, okay, that if the funding won't keep going for Ukraine and the funding won't keep going with the Israel uh, situation, that there will be this period of a possible continuity of government um, crisis. And it could be an FF that happens within the United States, because even though they have clean nukes now, they could still hit nuclear power plants that aren't clean to cause massive radiation. Or they could hit different Air Force bases, et cetera, in the United States and claim that there is a massive radiation situation happening. Whatever they could do with false flags, which they've done a gazillion times, is that they could basically create what is the continuity of government and the rollout of wartime powers that that creates a military government and puts off elections. It puts off elections, and it also gives them the opportunity to carry on with what I've been talking about with their continuity of government bills that they've been putting in recently to install different representatives of Congress if there was a mass casualty event. And where could there possibly be a mass casualty event in the next while, um, between now and the inauguration, that would actually harm um, the most people? Well, it would be DC, it would possibly be Mar-a-Lago, where so many of these people are hanging out. Not Mar-a-Lago specifically, also, but also West Palm Beach, where there are so many people making deals and getting together their ability to govern in less than, well, almost about 6 weeks now. So we're getting down to it now. For me, this to me is a signal that we need to get out of the NATO. We need to get out of NATO, and I believe that this root Trump detente, this thing that's going on, is to figure out a way that NATO can't keep America hostage anymore, and that America is on route to become another, like Russia, its own independent power, with the breakaway weaponry, healthcare, technology that Russia actually possesses. And the US could be the same thing if we can get out of Cartel Babylon's hold, out of the City of London, out of the Pilgrim Society control, stop being the tit for the entire world. They had already wanted to move, they wanted to destroy America in order to move the center of the New World Order's military might to Ukraine. That was the whole thing in 2014. Alexei Vindman, good old Alexei Vindman, he was supposed to be the Secretary of Defense there. But somehow people caught onto it, stopped it from happening. American citizen Alexei Vindman, him and his brother, the twins from Odessa, he was supposed to be the Alexei was supposed to be the Secretary of Defense. They were able to put the kibosh on that, but they still put Valerie Jarrett, American citizen, repatriated her to Ukraine, put her in the head of the Treasury there, right? And all the laundering of the money, the National Bank, they They did the whole thing with the Franklin Templeton investments. The Bidens, all of it, right? Hunter Biden, everything. Burisma. We know the story, and the creation of this whole conflict in Israel North. But this is all completely what they're doing now with suggesting nuclear weapons, moving an attacks on Russia. We have now NATO. We have, what's his name? Let me get to him. Admiral Rob Bauer. He is the head of NATO Military Committee, coming out and saying today that NATO, he's out of the NATO Naval Command, but he is the head of the NATO Military Committee, saying that NATO should execute a surprise attack on Russia. I mean, this is criminal, and it's treason against America. It's treason without congressional declaration of war. That there should be a surprise attack on Russia, okay, as they're saying that nukes should be returned to Russia. And John Kirby out of the White House saying, we stand rock solid in NATO Article 5. We stand rock solid in it, right? Article 5 is that if Russia attacks any NATO bases outside of Ukraine, it'll be full war by all of the NATO alliance. And so basically, this is what we're looking at. And if they simulate a Russian attack, like in Poland, for instance, which would be the likely place that if Putin was going to retaliate, what they did today was shooting more ATACMS into Kursk. And so, if they do a Poland FF, this could literally be the reason why you could have NATO and Admiral Rob Bauer, probably Sir Rob Bauer, initiating this surprise attack by NATO, and that's World War III. Okay, and that would initiate continuity of government. There'd be under continuity of government, it suspends government. Okay, where everything they've been saying back from Podesta and the last thing, and what's been happening now in the last election. I mean, and now they've been playing the same thing. Okay, how to set up a tandem government. Under continuity of government, basically everything is on hold, and you have the people at the top of the continuity of government, and the person, let me see, who's the person of Northcom, I believe, who's in charge of Northcom, actually takes the wartime powers position of being in charge. Let me look here, I got something here. Let me see. Trying to figure out who is, oh yeah, Gregory M. Guillot, General Gregory M. Guillot, Guillot, is the head of North Command. And North Command was only, Northern Command was only created since 9/11, so it's totally bogus anyway. And it was literally because of the creation of a New World Order scenario that they were building over the implementation of 9/11, that basically what happens is regional governors are assigned to control the United States, and it would be underneath North Command, underneath General Gregory M. Guillot. And this again gets into Pilgrim Society, gets into the council, and it gets into the creation of continuity of government, why it's so massive and important right now, because this is kind of the pinnacle moment where they could roll this out to have an FF, nuclear proportion, something that happens inside the United States, okay, that then allows them to be able to claim we're in a continuity of government situation, and where it goes to Northcom and it goes to the regional governors being assigned to different parts of the United States until another safe election can be held. And this could put a lot of things on hold. And of course, after 9/11, you had, and before, Dick Cheney was always really super involved, right, in this. And, Jack Keane, who you always see on Fox News, he was super involved. And he's saying, we should have given those ATACMS to Ukraine, years ago. Like, they're all pushing for this. They're all pushing for it at the same time as they're doing all this UFO revelation stuff, right? all the orbs. Now we're seeing orbs everywhere, right? I mean, in my life, I've been seeing orbs for 35 years, 35 plus years. The orbs, right? The orbs are basically they're little drones. They're high tech drones. They look like orbs, and they fly around and they do surveillance. Usually, it's for surveillance. You way back in the day when I used to go and I was super into, investigating all the DUMBs, right? The deep underground military bases. Like as a kid, I'd be like, oh, must go investigate. And you'd always get chased out by orbs. Okay. It would be these orbs. And you'd be like, I'm running from the orbs, driving away from the orbs. Many times this happened for me. So the orbs have been around forever. Okay. They're different sizes and they are these, secret space program technology of surveillance, and that's mostly what they're for, is surveillance. They're surveillance drones, and so now they're putting out all over the place, and making it be like, oh, the aliens are coming. But we have within all of this the secret space program issue, the Trump Musk scenario back when we had the JFK with Werner von Braun, right, watching, the blasting off to the moon. Now we have Trump with Musk watching the blasting off of the rockets, and it's the continuity of the information between them, where you had JFK wanting to get rid of NASA's Blue program, right, which was a separate, just like the separate set of books they have for the Pentagon and the government. They had a separate NASA that was doing all development of the secret space program. Well, and now you have, what dark journalists would call, and did a great job last Friday on his, I'll link his video below, where he was talking about that, you have two classes that are fighting against each other. You have ex-protect trying to steal all the secret space program technology and everything they've learned from the what is extraterrestrial or whatever technology. And then you have the X reveal or X share program, where you have people like Musk, who's always XXX, right? It's X with the X thing. He's in this X thing for a reason, and it gets back into the revelation around the secret space program. But Musk has billions and billions of dollars in DARPA contracts. He is very beholden to the government, which is why he's very interested in Trump being in charge, rearranging those arrangements to hopefully free the technologies. And so we're in this period where you have Cartel Babylon fighting the incoming Trump team for what could be, if they can pull something off between now and the inauguration. The danger to Trump is really high, but also the situation of pulling off some kind of FF is massive in order to affect that scenario, because what's literally at stake is trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, plus the consciousness of humanity being able to receive technologies that they can actually make safe and not detrimental to us, technologies that are geared towards being healthy and safeguarding us from any dangers from new technology that could really advance us health-wise, and all of the incredible medical technologies that are safe, that aren't about killing us in order to help us, but are actually about truly the light technologies, the frequency technologies, the things that are very, very beneficial versus their money-making, genocidal, death cult medical system. And the same with technologies to do with how we can heal heal our brains, our connection to God, our pineal glands, clear up our endocrine systems, and break through the EMF cloud. Okay, to be able to really to go with God's awakening that's happening for us now, to break into a new level of awareness and evolution, to go to the next level. Okay, it's the Cartel Babylon economy of sin. Use you, suck everything out of you, parasite off you, and then kill you. Okay, after traumatizing you massively, versus enhance you, educate you, elevate you, awaken you, have you become connected to God, and also God's incredible knowledge system that is directly, as Christ said, know thyself, all of it coming, that we are the exact replication of all the powers of the universe, and those factions are fighting. And so this, all my way of saying that we're in this period between now and the inauguration and after, but right now, right, as these sacred holidays of Thanksgiving and then moving into Christmas, this it's a danger period, and prayer is paramount, right? And faith is paramount, and gratitude is paramount, because our direction, our heart resonance, what we focus on, plus the action we take, okay? You want to be supporting Trump. You want to be making the calls to your senators. You want to let them know what you think about freeing humanity from all of this limitation, but doing it in a healthy way, because Maha is coming. Okay, it can save millions and billions of lives. Maha can save billions of lives. It can put us on the track towards true health, and the picks are, for the most part, great. I'm hoping that the NIH pick is going to be Bhattacharya. Still waiting on that one, because Bhattacharya is great. He is excellent, and we want him in as NIH director. He has been always just, super positive about. He was, totally harassed and whatever, censored. But he is against the COVID vaccines. He's against the censorship about the information around them, and we could really get a great one with him. So hang in there. Hang in there is what I'm saying, and pray, 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 and be super grateful. God is stealing us right now. Stealing us meaning like stealing us with God's armor, right? Like, steel yourself for what's coming. And then with that armor on, you're doing two things. You're in both the redemption and the resurrection. So, in your redemptionness, you're got God's armor, and you're heading both towards the gates of hell, chasing them down, not relenting. It's not a time for soft, oh, whatever. No, no, no. It's time to go, go, go against them. No softness. Go, go, go against them at the same time as you're heading straight for the gates of heaven, where you sit next to the throne. It's a both and, it's simultaneous. So don't let the squirrels, take you into black pill. Don't get worried, okay, about the badness. Do your research and then act on it. Act on it to bring light to any problems that you see, okay, with your senators and your representatives, your town councils. And Trump, 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 hit him up, hit him up. All of his socials are absolutely red. They are red. They're scanned. Put your opinions out there for Trump on Truth Social. Get it all out there, and just keep letting them know. And make sure that you do it in a very educated voice. Don't go all ranting and raving. Speak with your, speak with your good voice, with your God-informed voice, to express an opinion with backup research that can help guide Trump, because we're looking at him with, hundreds of people directly behind him, then thousands, and then there's going to be about 10 million people working for Trump. Okay, it's huge. So get involved if you want to work for Trump. Okay, it's massive. So I know I sort of veered away from doing mega news, but I just wanted to talk about how I think all these things are interacting right now. That there's continuity of government threat is sort of being held over Trump. That there's something going on since Mark Root met with him 2 days ago, and that the escalation with Russia that's gone on since then, from France, from UK, from Germany, from the U.S. Okay, that there's some sort of, they're at odds, loggerheads, and so prayer is so paramount. Okay, especially against the FFs, and that that the Trump team, the alliances are able to affect that situation because the globalists are losing and they're losing massively in numbers. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the numbers. We have the numbers. Okay. And even in heart resonance and prayer, those numbers are massive. So the more prayer vigils you can have, we live in this multidimensional sphere where so much of everything is energy. Okay, so your prayers and the people you share them with and the actions you take and the faith you have affects so much. This is why they try to dumb us down with the media addiction and watching Netflix and doing that is because they don't want you involved in the real fight, which is an energetic God fight. Okay. And it's an information fight as well. All right. And that's the actions you take. But stay steadfast, understanding we have the numbers. They are a small, they're a shrinking group. They're a shrinking group. And we can absolutely affect the outcome here in the next 50 days. So we're going to keep doing that as we have gratitude and really have an incredible Thanksgiving, real giving thanks. Make it deep, make it prayerful, make it totally God centered, and then we're full bore for action, 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 action. So it might get to the point where we have to get out at our local state capitol buildings and start protesting, the possibility of nuclear war. That could be a thing, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. We can make the choices, we can make the plans, but we have to be acting. It's coming up quick, so we have a little bit of holiday reprieve, but it's filled with prayer. Prayer is its own massive energetic output. So um, feel 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 positive about taking that time for prayer. It is not time out, it is absolutely time in. Prayer is a massive action. So I think I will leave it there. I meant to get into way different things here, but that's where I went. So I will be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about it, talking about some interesting things, and then I'll be back on Friday as well. So I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, a very intentional Thanksgiving. And I'll see you tomorrow anyway. And so thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, or you want to just keep your free TV going, you might have some gratitude involved with that. Ways to help the channel are below. I'm so appreciative of it. And of course, my great sponsor, C60 Evo, c60evo.com. As we move towards Maha, and we're getting closer to what RFK Jr. is going to be doing to absolutely revolutionize healthcare in this country. I believe that ESS60, the incredible miracle molecule that is really, really the best forms of carbon-60, is going to be central in what's coming for elevated healthcare. And c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. If you contribute to the channel, you get 15% off. Different code and email sent to you with a different link. And I also give away 2 bottles. We're getting towards the end of the month. So if you contribute to the channel, you get entered into a giveaway where 2 different people receive a free bottle of these capsules. I love this. The capsules digest so nice. This is the organic olive oil with the incredible ESS60 molecule in there, which gets through the neurons, removes graphene from the body. As we move into the new level of medicine, I believe that things like C60 Evo are going to be part of that revolution. And I'm just really happy to have a sponsor like them as we move forward. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you. And not as news heavy as I wanted, more analysis, but don't worry, we keep on. There's always more to say. You are free, and I'm so thankful for you. See you next time.